Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. In the coming days and weeks, I'm going to be making a concerted effort to help you understand why your XRP isn't worth more than it is today, aside from the fact that the SEC is suing Ripple, which I think is just a given at this point. I think the vast majority of us would all agree XRP is at a suppressed price artificially as a result of that. So that's not what I'm going to be delving into in videos like this. And I'll also do more to explain looming issues that will cause additional price volatility. Now, I've been stating that it's macroeconomic factors at play, and I'm going to be delving in the various aspects of that over time. So the good news is that XRP is not low in price because of any sort of fundamental issue. There isn't anything wrong with it. In fact, we're seeing an increase of XRP adoption in many ways, including as a bridge currency, which of course is Ripple's most famous use case, utilizing XRP as a bridge currency via on-demand liquidity. And so you might ask then, if adoption is so great, then why isn't price going up? Well, the short answer is that it's not uncommon for the price of any asset to be disconnected from a number of things, including utility. Here, case in point, and this is a famous one that's obvious that happened in recent history. Go back to March of 2020. Look at specifically the stock market. Look at how the stock market tanked, and then, yes, crypto did too, but what happened immediately after? Quickly found a bottom, and then stocks were just climbing, but at the same time, the price of stocks were climbing. Economic output was decreasing because there was a pandemic and people were at home not creating stuff, not working. Economic output way down, and price of stocks way up. So that tells you right there that there's not always going to be that correlation between a level of productivity and the price of something. There's frequently going to be a disconnect. And so similarly, that concept, we are seeing that play out today with XRP. Adoption increasing, price going down. And it can take markets a long time to mature and or recover to a point where price does catch up with actual value and actual utility, right? So that's why it's important to understand that crypto markets are tied to non-crypto markets. And so that's why when you talk about macro factors if impacting like equities, well, crypto is tied to all of that. That's what's going on here. That's why your damn XRP is so low. But I'm going to get into the nitty gritty. I'm going to, over a span of days and weeks, maybe not literally every single day, but you'll be catching it if you follow my channel on and off. I'm going to be talking about the things that are actually causing these changes, and it's worth being aware of this and staying in tune. Now look, there are non-crypto things that may blow up, which will impact crypto prices, including XRP. And that's why it's worth paying attention to this. And having this knowledge, I hope, will make it easier for you to sleep at night during times when your overall net worth is decreasing. I do not believe it makes logical sense to be fearful just because the market has taken a beating. But before sharing additional ideas, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so in that vein, maybe we can start with this. Are you guys familiar with Graham Stephan? I'm willing to bet that some of you listening are. He's a very well-known YouTuber. And so this is his Twitter account that I pulled up here with 87,000 followers, but he's actually got 3.8 million subscribers on YouTube. And I've been following for a number of years, but I don't recall having ever spoken about him on my channel before. He's a finance guy, but not a crypto guy. So he will dabble in it on his channel a bit, and he has some ideas. And I do find it to be generally insightful. But since this is a crypto-heavy channel, and especially XRP-centric, I don't recall having ever brought him up before. But I want to talk about why your XRP in crypto is down and things that might make it go lower. And even if not, it's certainly going to play a role because, again, like I said in the intro of this video, it's all tied together. And so Graham Stephan, he shared some, I think, brilliant insight into something that is going to impact the broader economy. And it has to do with car loans, believe it or not. And yes, and again, I kid you not, and please take this seriously, this will impact everything else, including your XRP and all of crypto. So here's what he had to say. The used car market is on the brink of an auto loan collapse that can shake the entire industry. I am shocked that more people are not talking about this. We are facing a 2008-ish scenario in the used car market, and honestly, it's a disaster waiting to happen. So, of course, I'll pause to note when he says 2008-ish scenario, he's talking about the housing collapse of 2008. He's saying this is the car version of it. And then he says, when buyers purchase a car, a vast majority, 85%, are financed. The problem is that, unlike real estate, auto loans are not subject to strict underwriting requirements, allowing almost anyone to get one. Buyers with lower credit scores were funneled into loans with 2x interest. You can see how crazy this is in the latest auto loan consumer reports. 25 to 50% of the loans were given to customers who might not be able to repay it. So I'll just pause right there. In a general sense, lending institutions seem not to have learned their lesson. Why did we have the 2008 financial collapse? Well, there are a lot of reasons you can get into it. It isn't intended to be all-encompassing, but a factor is that loans were given to people who were not likely to be able to repay them. It's happening with cars, folks. It's happening with cars right in this very second. And then Graham Stephan continues and he says, lenders only verified the source of income and employment in 4% of the time. Think about that. Can you imagine getting approved the house with checking that stuff only 4% of the time? Now, granted, I know cars are not as expensive as houses, generally speaking, anyway. But still, if it's not the biggest thing somebody purchases in their life, it's usually the second biggest thing that somebody will purchase in their life, right? With the home being number one, typically, for people. Anyway, Graham continues. If that's not crazy enough, as of now, 5% of auto loans are behind payments, and nearly half of them are underwater. Just like how the housing market collapsed from the loan crisis in 2008, the same thing is said to be starting to happen in the auto loan market. As the supply chain and chip crisis has improved from COVID times, used car prices have dropped for 4 consecutive months and are now down 6.4% since January. And so look, for those of you that are not in the know, there's been a new car shortage driven largely by a microchip crisis, because there aren't enough microchips due to supply chain issues as a result of the pandemic primarily to go into new cars. So you can have, in fact, there are all sorts of manufacturers that have tons of new cars with the finishing touch not there, like multiple microchips. Cars use multiple microchips, actually. And with them not being available, new cars can't be sold. So what happens? Price of used cars goes up, right? That's what's happened here. And but now what he's saying here is, for several months now, the prices have been coming down, and I actually wasn't aware of that until this, because the prices are still sky high. So we already saw the top, it looks like, anyway. And the prices are only going to go down as new cars increasingly become available, right? So anyway, he continues. He says, this is a nightmare for the banks that have lent money on these cars, whose value is rapidly beginning to fall. Just recently, Equifax reported that 8.5% of subprime borrowers defaulted on their car loans, the second highest on record. 8.5% subprime borrowers defaulted already. A Wall Street Journal also found that more subprime borrowers have started missing out on payments as rising inflation made them choose between essentials and auto loans. So look, folks, this is why I'm saying everything's intertwined. You know, as inflation has increased, that means that your dollars don't stretch as far. And if you are already on a budget and everything costs more, something has to give somewhere. And so what does that mean? Miss a car payment here or there. And then things get more and more exacerbated as interest increase. And then we have economic slowdown, so people are going to get laid off. That's by design. I know the Fed won't say that, but they understand that's, of course, ultimately what's going to happen. To slow down inflation, some people are going to get laid off. You have a very low unemployment rate now that's going to rise. It's an inevitability. And what's going to happen? Well, then fewer people can make their car payments, right? Graham continues. The reality is that lenders have given buyers unaffordable loans without verifying their financials on car values that cannot be sustained without a chip shortage. No kidding. Wait till the chip shortage is no longer a problem, and it'll work itself out over time. Car prices will go back down. because normally a car loses like what? After 5 years, it's lost what, like 60% of its value? I'd have to look up the stat, but it's a crazy amount. Cars have been going up. Like I think over the last 12 months, well, before the decline started anyway, I think I remember seeing something like year over year, it was up maybe 20% or so. It's insane. Cars are depreciating assets. Well, they're supposed to be anyway. Because you get rid of the flow of new cars, that changes things a bit. Okay. Anyway, but he says it's only a matter of time. Eventually, things have to come back to normal. KPMG predicts that used car prices can drop 30% as more supplies hit the market, and Ally Financial predicts a 20% drop. The timing is a bit uncertain, but it looks like it's going to unravel in the next 12 to 18 months. From everything that I've researched, my biggest concern is that too many people have locked themselves into auto loans that are more expensive than they can afford. That's the end of the threat. So think about this. You have a car that's inflated in price. That price of that car is not going to be sustained as new cars increasingly become available. So if you bought a car that's worth 20 or 30% more than it otherwise would have been, and you're in a loan, and then the price of the car plummets way down below where it should have been at fair market value, before the chip shortage. Factor that in. I mean, gosh, you buy a $40,000 car, you drive it a year or two, because you bought it at an inflated price, and then what's it worth after a year or two? Is it worth even 20 grand? Who knows? So, I mean, it depends on the make and model and a number of other factors, but you understand what I'm getting at here, right? You bought a car at an inflated price, then you might lose your job, or inflation makes it increasingly difficult to pay that. You can default on the loan. And they can have this cascading effect on the entire economy. It's the type of thing that happened in 2008. That's what he's getting at right here. So what's going to happen if that happens? How might that impact markets? Do you see how it's all intertwined? And this is just one thing. This is what I'm saying. I want to break stuff down further as time passes, because I'm telling you, crypto markets and stock market moves in tandem. If this results in panic, people sell enough stocks, it's going to hit XRP. All of this is going to hit your XRP and everything else. And that's why I'm trying to make sure that you know this, because if you're aware of this and it happens, you understand the underlying reasons for it, then you don't need to freak out. You make your decision whether to buy or sell or hold. I'm not offering advice on that. I'm just trying to share information that I'm aware of. You make your own decisions. You can do your own fact checking, all that jazz, of course. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to be fearful if you just understand this stuff, because even the lowest of the low in markets, they find bottoms eventually. So as long as you do have income, and that's the thing that I think most people, if anything, if you're going to be worried about anything, just make sure that you're gainfully employed. As long as you've got income coming in, if your net worth goes down for some period of time, it doesn't matter. And understand the typical recession lasts somewhere in the neighborhood of a year, 12 months. And then things just start to get better again. That's typically what it is. Most of the time, we're not in recessions. So it doesn't make sense. So fine, it's a year of not so good, or it could be harder to find a job, and I understand that, but it won't be the end of the world. Even if you're one of the people in that unfortunate position, I'm nothing but sympathetic, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel even for you. Even if somebody listening to this is having trouble with an employment situation, I promise you, things do get better. They will get better. It's not going to be the end of the world. There's always opportunity out there. That is the truth. And then take a look at, what do I want to highlight next? Oh, this. This is from Plan B. I just want to kind of point out how everything's out of whack here in terms of crypto metrics that can be tracked. And I think it's because of macroeconomic factors, because this is out of, I'm going to show you. There's several factors that analyst Plan B talks about here in this tweet. They're historically off. This just doesn't happen, not to this degree anyway. And what happens to be occurring at the time that things are way off right now? Macroeconomic factors. This is the first time that crypto has been tested in this way, and it's at a time where markets the world over, not just crypto, are getting hammered. Which is why, again, I keep saying, just be aware of it. It doesn't make sense to be fearful if your net worth is going down because there's a recession, which you're going to have a ton of recessions over the span of your adult life. You're going to be, you're going to have a front row seat to plenty of recessions, and during them, your net worth will go down. Okay, so it's a known factor. Like, why freak out about that? But then it goes back up. The people that really get bitten on the rear side are the people that respond to that by selling. That's what I believe anyway. So do what you want. If you think it's best for you to sell, then sell. I'm not telling you to buy or sell or hold. You do whatever you want. I'm just telling you I don't think it makes sense for me. So here's a tweet from Plan B. All indicators at extreme levels. Stock to flow, 200-week moving average, relative strength index, realized price, etc. And he's talking about Bitcoin here. So he asks generational buying opportunity or This time is different. Structural break would last 13 years. Well, if I had to pick one of the two, it'd be the first, generational buying opportunity. I mean, here, I'll just pull up one of them here. This is just the stock to flow. Here, I'll pull up all four, whatever. You can pause if you want to look at them longer. Here's the stock to flow model. You can see it's below where it's expected. The next one is Bitcoin Relative Strength Index. And again, just pause if you want to take a look at these. Then there's this Bitcoin 200-week moving average. Look at where it is. That's not where it spends most of its time in life. It's a little bit low, don't you think? And then here's Bitcoin realized cap, below where you'd expect it to be. All these metrics, you don't normally see this. You don't, and certainly you've never seen it to this degree. For the first time in history, in Bitcoin's history. I don't think it's just coincidence, folks. Which is why I'm saying, if you're worried about your XRP or your crypto in general, it don't make no damn sense. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.